prophet named Moses. You all know the story. I need you to go back to Esdras, Elder Lawyer, where it says the law came through 4 gates.
Yes, sir. Second Esdras, chapter 3, verse number 17.
Yes.
And it came to pass that when thou leddest his seed out of Egypt, thou broughtest them up to the Mount Sinai.
There you go. Come on.
And bowing the heavens, thou didst set fast the earth.
When it says bow in the heavens, brothers and sisters, in the Hebrew, that's warp. That's bending time between the heaven and earth, where the Most High can actually, the angels can come right in from heaven, which would be usually billions of years away, millions of years away. He can bow the heavens. That means the Most High's here, the earth there, and he can, through warp speed, have an angel come right in to the earth. That's what warp speed is. Bowing is warp. Bending time. Bending time is how the angels travel into this earth. Now, a human or someone in this earth could never get to where the Most High is because they don't have the power to bend or warp or bow the heavens. That means warp. Star Trek, when you hear them say warp speed, that's them talking about how the angels come into the earth by bowing time from the heavens into our realm. This is how we receive the law from the Most High. Read it.
And bowing the heavens, thou didst set fast the earth, movest the whole world, and madest the depths to tremble, and tremblest the men of that age. And thy glory went through 4 gates of fire,
4 gates of fire,
and of earthquake, and of wind, and of cold, that thou mightest give the law unto the seed of Jacob.
that they may give the law, that he would give the law to who?
The seed of Jacob,
The seed of Jacob,
and diligence unto the generation of Israel.
and diligence unto what?
The generation of Israel.
The generation of Israel, starting with Moses. Just imagine for a second this church, using my original, grabber, getting the original analogy I made. Imagine this church. Mount Sinai is the pulpit. Moses is the preacher. And the Most High has given them the understanding on what to preach to the congregation of Israel, giving them the law, statutes, and commandments that would put this race, this people, above all people, to get all Gentile nations in the earth back on course. So what we seen in the wilderness was really the first real church. The first time the Most High did what? Left the throne and interacted with mankind as a nation, the seed of Adam, like the Most High did in the Garden of Eden. See? We're talking about rebuilding that relationship now. Understanding this in general. Understanding this in general, now that the truth of us being Israel and the law, statutes, and commandments are being taught now. Understand that now, through the internet, Satan has ramped it up. Where now the knowledge of good and evil is easily accessible to everyone in your hand or through your computer. They would have never given people this technology to have access to so much information if they weren't panicking. But this is how he introduced good and evil to the whole earth, where you can go to the internet and get exactly what you're getting now, truth. But the majority of time that mankind will be on the internet, it'll be to serve their flesh. The knowledge of dark things that people do. It's as if they took the tree of good and evil and through technology introduced it to the world and say, here's a choice. You can get all the good stuff on it, or you can serve your flesh. Let's read what you have, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Acts chapter 7, verse 37 through 38.
Read.
The church in the wilderness. That Moses which said unto the children of Israel, a prophet shall the Lord your God raise up unto you of your brethren like unto me, him shall ye hear. This is he that was in the church in the wilderness.
This was he that was in the what?
In the church in the wilderness.
So us receiving the law, statutes, and commandments under Moses was our first church. Which means everything the Most High was bringing forth through Moses was supposed to have been the doctrine taught to our people, all people on the earth. Read.
This is he that was in the church in the wilderness, with the angel which spake to him in the Mount Sinai, and with our fathers, who received the lively oracles to give unto us.
Who received the lively oracles to give unto us. The prophecies from the Almighty. An oracle does what? It gives an understanding on how to what? See the future. It's the Bible. It's the prophets in the Old Testament. That's what was given to us, the knowledge of the future. You understand this? So the first church was at Mount Sinai, where the Most High gave the children of Israel laws, statutes, and commandments. Let's get Psalms 147, 19 and 20. So when people talk about church and then claim in a church that the law's done away with, that's a conflict. That's a conflict of doctrine. The first church was the God of Israel giving his people the law. See? Let's finish reading.
Psalms 147, verse number 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He have not dealt so with any nation.
He have not dealt so with any nation. Any nation. It's talking about Gentiles. When you think about Chinese people, they are Japhetic people. They are Gentiles. Okay? When you think about white people, they're Edomites. They are Gentiles. When you think about Arab people, okay? They are what? Ishmaelites. They are Gentile. It only means people outside of the nation of Israel. So the Bible says, I have not dealt so. I've given my law, statutes, and commandments to Israel, and I have not dealt so with any race of people. There was no Chinese Moses. There was no white Moses. There were no Arab Moses. My church started with the Israelites. That's what it means by that. Okay, this is not minimizing other races of people. This is not separating God's people from other people, because this was for the other people if they were willing to follow it. Okay, it's just fact. There was no Chinese man receiving the 10 Commandments. There was no shaman from East India receiving the 10 Commandments. That's just fact. And that's why the Bible states, I have not dealt so with any nation. So then one must ask, well, where are all these other temples coming from that they call temples of God? And if it's a temple of God, what God? It came from the Tower of Babel. When the tongues were split and all of the races of people took their respective learnings at the Tower of Babel, into their respective countries. That's where all these religions come from, and they're the same at its core. Satan's religion, Satan's temple, Satan's doctrine that has a lot of good in it, but yes, there's a lot of evil. And the key emphasis is to keep us from getting back to where we were before Adam fell. Get us back. They're trying with their temples to try to be an adder in the way, to be a stopper at the door from us getting back to where Moses was in that church in the wilderness, giving us a true sermon from the Almighty directly out of heaven. What you got, other lawyer?
Yes, sir. Just reading here in the book of Exodus chapter 19 on the point that was made concerning the Israelites receiving the commandments, and the nations could receive it if they desired to learn, if they desired the truth and the knowledge.
Exactly.
It says here in the book of Exodus chapter 19, showing the position that the original Israelites had or were supposed to have with the commandments. It says in Exodus 19, verse number 5, "Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, and ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine, and ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel." So the Most High gave Israel the commandments to be a kingdom of priests, to teach the nations, as it says in Deuteronomy 4, that the nations would look to them and say that this is a wise nation. These are wise laws, wise commandments.
Exactly.
We also should follow them.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that out, because why? The reality of the matter, brothers and sisters, is that Ham, Shem, and Japheth were on Noah's ark. They're his sons. And I don't think that if Noah was in the earth today, he would be rejecting Chinese people or rejecting other races of people, knowing that these were all his children that he saved on Noah's ark. So you'll never hear true people who are teaching the doctrine of Christ berating or coming against other races of people and making them believe they're less than. It's not about that. It's not about them against us. It's about pointing them out when they are attacking us. Okay? That's what it's about. Pointing that out when they set up institutions and churches that would separate us from the temple of God, the hierarchy of the earth, working with Satan against the righteous. But we don't have no problem against any people, and that's clear. That if you're going to hold the doctrine of Christ, you can't make racism the foundation of your doctrine. Truth.
That's right.
Is what we must teach to bring Israel back to the Almighty and all the Gentiles who would understand the benefit of partaking with what's in this Bible right here, which is what? The tree of life, brothers and sisters, written for mankind to understand what? The true temple. The Bible is the tree of life now. And this is why it doesn't matter whether or not you East Indian religion or shaman, doesn't matter if you are a Muslim, it doesn't matter who you are, everyone will have a problem with in these other churches and these other temples against the Bible. Because you know what it does? It takes away their authority over us.
That's right.
It strips them of the spiritual upper hand. It takes control from them. Okay? So yes, they'll give you knowledge and good things and give you some wise sayings and all these other things and different types of proverbs and wise sayings. But guess what? There's no wise saying that any Gentile church can teach out there that we cannot find in Proverbs, Ecclesiasticus, in the Wisdom of Solomon. Everything, let me tell you, everything they talk about as far as wisdom-wise in their churches and in their temples, the majority of it came from the wisdom of Israelites. Now, the Most High had Solomon